You don't see it coming. That's the point. I'm walking out of the hotel in Bucharest on a Tuesday morning, October of '78, carrying a briefcase full of telecommunications equipment catalogs and sample circuit boards. My cover name is James Palmer, American sales consultant for Continental Telecommunication Systems. Been in country 4 days, meeting with ministry officials about upgrading their phone infrastructure. Everything documented, everything legitimate on paper. The car pulls up alongside me before I reach the corner. Black Dacia sedan, 2 men in gray suits. The one in the passenger seat already has his window down. Mr. Palmer, please, we need you to come with us. Not a request. Statement of fact, the goddamn Securitate, Romanian secret police. Meanest sons of bitches in the Eastern Bloc next to the Stasi. These bastards disappeared people, broke people, made people confess to crimes they didn't commit and some they did. The Ceausescu regime didn't mess around. You crossed them, you vanished into Jalava prison or worse. My heart rate stays steady. Training kicks in before conscious thought. I keep my face neutral, slightly confused, mildly concerned, but cooperative. The face of an innocent businessman who doesn't understand what's happening. I'm sorry, is there a problem? I have a meeting at 10 o'clock this morning. There is no problem. Routine questions, please. The man gestures to the back seat. The rear door opens. Another man inside. 3 total. All watching me with those dead bureaucrat eyes that tell you nothing except they've done this 1,000 times before. I get in the car. What else are you going to do? Run? Pull a weapon I don't have? Scream for help in a police state where everyone's terrified of these assholes? I slide into the back seat. The man next to me doesn't make space. Sits close. Deliberate intimidation. The car pulls into traffic before my door fully closes. Nobody speaks. We drive through the gray morning streets of Bucharest, past the concrete apartment blocks and propaganda posters, past the bread lines and the old women in headscarves. The city looks exhausted, beaten down. That's what 20 years of Ceausescu does to a place. I'm running calculations. What did I miss? What tripped their radar? The meetings went clean. My legend is backstopped all the way to New York. Corporate records, references, actual telecommunications work history before I transitioned into this life. They can verify everything about James Palmer. Unless someone talked. Unless there's a penetration I don't know about. Unless they've been watching longer than I thought and saw something I didn't catch. Can't think about that now. Whatever triggered this, I'm in it. The only way out is through. The driver makes a turn away from the city center. We're heading toward the industrial district. Not the main Securitate headquarters on Rahova Street. Somewhere else. Somewhere off the books. That's worse. The official facilities have procedures, documentation, limits on what they can do to a foreign national with legitimate business credentials. The unofficial sites have none of that. Just rooms and time and people who know how to use both. 15 minutes of silence. The man next to me lights a cigarette without offering me one. Smokes it down to the filter and lights another. Chain smoking nervous habit or calculated psychological pressure. Doesn't matter. I keep my breathing steady and watch the streets go by like I'm sightseeing. We pull into a warehouse complex. Chain link fence topped with barbed wire. Guard shack with 2 soldiers carrying AK-47s. The gate opens. We drive past 3 warehouse buildings to a smaller structure at the back. 2-story concrete block painted institutional gray-green. No windows on the ground floor. Bars on the second floor windows. This is an interrogation facility. Not official. Not on any map. The kind of place where they take people who need special attention. The car stops. Everyone gets out. I follow their lead. Compliant. Confused. Still playing the role of James Palmer, telecommunications consultant who has no idea why he's been picked up. Please, can you tell me what this is about? I really do have appointments. Inside. The first man gestures to a steel door. We go inside. The interior matches the exterior. Concrete floors, fluorescent lights humming overhead, Smell of cigarette smoke and industrial disinfectant trying to cover something underneath. Sweat, fear, the accumulated anxiety of everyone who's been through here. They walk me down a corridor past several closed doors. Stop at the fourth door on the left. Open it. The room is maybe 12 feet by 12 feet. One metal table bolted to the floor. 3 chairs, 2 on one side, 1 on the other. Single bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. No windows. Concrete walls painted the same gray-green as the exterior. One corner has a drain in the floor. That drain tells me everything I need to know about what happens in this room when things go badly. Sit. The first man points to the single chair. I sit, place my briefcase on the floor beside the chair. Keep my hands visible on the table. Everything about my body language says cooperation. Nothing threatening, nothing defensive. Just a businessman confused about why he's here. 2 of the men leave. The one who spoke first remains. He's maybe 45. Thinning hair slicked back, cheap suit that doesn't fit right, face like a hatchet, narrow and sharp, eyes that don't blink enough. This is someone who's been doing this work long enough that the humanity wore off. He sits across from me, pulls out a pack of Carpazzi cigarettes, lights one, doesn't offer me any. Classic interrogation technique, establish dominance through small withholdings. Make the subject feel isolated and dependent. I've been through SERI training, survival, evasion, resistance, escape, been interrogated by experts who taught interrogation. I know every trick in the book because I've had them all used on me in controlled environments where I could tap out if it got too real. This isn't controlled. This is a real goddamn thing. No tap out, no safety word, no extraction team standing by. Just me and my cover identity as James Palmer and whatever the hell triggered this pickup. The man smokes his cigarette halfway down before speaking, watching me the whole time, looking for tells, nervous habits, micro-expressions, any crack in the facade. I give him nothing, sit still, breathe normal, meet his eyes when appropriate, look away when appropriate. The behavior of someone who's confused and a little worried but has nothing to hide. Mr. Palmer, tell me about your business in Romania. American accented English. He learned the language from native speakers, probably trained in the States or by American instructors. That means he's senior. That means he's good. I'm a sales consultant for Continental Telecommunication Systems. We manufacture switching equipment and circuit relay systems. I'm here meeting with officials from your Ministry of Communications about potential contracts for upgrading your telephone infrastructure. Clean, simple, exactly what my cover documentation says. Who specifically have you met with? Deputy Minister Ionescu on Monday, Director of Technical Operations Popescu yesterday afternoon. I have meetings scheduled today with 2 section chiefs whose names I can provide. That won't be necessary. He taps ash from his cigarette. Why did Continental send you specifically? I have technical expertise in Eastern European telecommunications systems. I've worked on similar projects in Hungary and Poland. I speak some Russian, which helps with technical terminology. All true, all verifiable. The beautiful thing about a good cover is it's built on foundation of real capability. You don't fake expertise, you have the actual skills that support the legend. You speak Russian. Some. Enough for business and technical discussions. Say something in Russian. I give him a sentence about telecommunications equipment specifications. Flawless accent. I learned Russian the hard way, months of immersion with native speakers during language training and later in the field. You don't fake that. Your accent gives you away immediately. He nods, stubs out his cigarette, and immediately lights another. Chain smoking. This is going to be a long session. How long have you worked for Continental Telecommunications? 3 years this November. And before that, I was in the military, United States Army. I separated in 75 and went into private sector work. What did you do in the Army? Communications and logistics. I spent most of my time in Germany supporting NATO operations. Partial truth. I did spend time in Germany. I did work on communications. The special forces part doesn't come up. The unconventional warfare part doesn't come up. The 6 tours in Southeast Asia don't come up. James Palmer's cover legend is built around a simpler, cleaner military career that explains technical knowledge without raising operational flags. You separated as what rank? Sergeant First Class. Why did you leave the military? I got married. My wife wanted me stateside. The money was better in private sector. Standard reasons. Where's your wife now? California. We divorced last year. All verifiable. All documented. The divorce is real. The ex-wife exists and will confirm the story if contacted because she knows the cover and she's been briefed. The agency thinks of everything when they build a legend for someone like James Palmer. Or they're supposed to. Something brought me here. Something tripped their interest. The interrogator smokes his second cigarette down, stubs it out, leans back in his chair, and crosses his arms. Mr. Palmer, you were in Vietnam. There it is. Vietnam isn't in Palmer's cover documentation. The legend says Germany and NATO support operations. Clean, simple, boring. Vietnam changes everything. Vietnam means you might have done things that weren't communications and logistics. Vietnam means you might have skills that aren't technical consultation. Vietnam means you might be something other than what you claim. I keep my face neutral. Slight surprise. Nothing more. Yes, one tour, 70 to 71, that's public record. I thought we were discussing my business appointments. You were with Special Forces. Shit. I was attached to a Special Forces unit for part of my tour. I wasn't SF qualified. I was a commo sergeant supporting their operations. Technically true for the Palmer legend. The fact that the real me was running indigenous operations and working with SOG isn't part of this conversation. James Palmer was just support personnel. That's the story. That's what holds up. You jumped out of airplanes. Airborne qualified, yes. Standard training for anyone supporting SF units in that theater. You speak Vietnamese. How the hell do they know that? That's not in Palmer's legend. That's not in any public record. That's operational knowledge. Some. Survival language. Enough to order food and ask directions. Most of our operations were conducted through interpreters. I'm maintaining the lie, but I'm making calculations. They know things they shouldn't know. They've done deep research. They've either got access to classified files or someone talked, or they've been building a file on James Palmer long before I came to Romania. The interrogator lights another cigarette. We're 20 minutes into this and he's already smoked 3. He's thinking, deciding how hard to push. Mr. Palmer, let me be direct. We know you are not simply a telecommunications consultant. My heart rate stays steady. Training, control, don't react. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean. You are CIA. There it is. The accusation. Flat statement. Waiting for my reaction. I let myself look shocked, confused, then slightly angry. The natural response of an innocent man accused of being a spy. That's ridiculous. I'm a businessman. I have credentials. I have references. You can verify everything. We have verified everything. Very thorough cover story, very professional documentation. This is what makes us suspicious. Goddamn. They're smart. Too clean is suspicious. Too perfect raises flags. The paradox of covert work, you need a bulletproof legend, but bulletproof looks manufactured. I don't know what to tell you. I'm here to sell telecommunications equipment, that's all. Then you won't mind if we hold you while we conduct further verification. There it is. Not a question, a statement. I'm not leaving this building until they decide to let me go. Could be hours, could be days. Depends on what they find and how hard they want to push. How long will this take? I have appointments. My company will be concerned if I don't report in. We will notify your company that you are assisting us with routine inquiries. They will understand. No, they won't. My case officer will know immediately that something's wrong. Protocol is I check in every 12 hours. Miss a check-in and they start contingency procedures. But those procedures take time. Time I'll be spending in this room with this chain-smoking bastard who's already decided James Palmer is agency and is now looking for proof. The interrogator stands up, walks to the door, knocks twice. It opens. He speaks in Romanian to whoever's outside. Too fast for me to catch all of it, but I hear enough. They're going to let me sit here for a while. Let me think about my situation. Standard technique isolation creates anxiety, creates mistakes. He turns back to me. Someone will bring you water. We will continue this conversation later. How much later? When we are ready. He leaves. The door closes. I hear a lock engage. I'm alone in the room. You'd think silence is the hardest part. It isn't. Silence you can handle. Silence is just empty space. You fill it with discipline, breathing exercises, mental rehearsal, going over your cover story until every detail is automatic, until you could recite it half asleep and it would still be flawless. No. The hard part is the uncertainty. Not knowing what they know, not knowing what triggered the pickup, not knowing how long you'll be here or what comes next. That's what breaks people. The not knowing, the imagination running wild with possibilities, the fear that grows in the gaps between information. I sit in the chair and I control my mind. That's the only thing I can control right now. I can't control what they know, can't control how long they'll keep me, can't control whether they'll escalate this beyond conversation, can't control any of the external variables, but I can control my internal state, and if you can't control that, you're already beaten. I review the Palmer legend from the beginning. Born in Texas, raised in various towns as father moved for work, oil industry, high school in Amarillo, enlisted in the Army right after graduation, basic training at Fort Polk, advanced individual training for communications at Fort Gordon, first duty station Germany, second duty station Germany again, Vietnam tour 70 to 71 attached to advisory units, nothing classified, nothing operational, just a commo sergeant doing his job. Back to Germany after Vietnam, got married, separated from service in 75, took a job with Continental Telecommunications, worked domestic installations for 2 years, started international consultation work in 77, first overseas assignments in Western Europe, expanded to Eastern Europe this year, divorced in 78, currently living in a studio apartment in Arlington, Virginia when not traveling for work. Every detail documented, every detail verifiable, every detail clean for James Palmer. Except they think Palmer is CIA, which means either the cover has a hole I don't know about or they're fishing. Accuse everyone of being agency and see who breaks. Standard counterintelligence technique, assume everyone's a spy until proven otherwise. The problem is, proving otherwise is damn near impossible when you actually are a spy. The door opens. Different man this time. Younger. Probably early 30s. Carries a plastic bottle of water in a metal cup. Sets him on the table in front of me. Says nothing. Leaves. Door locks again. I drink the water slowly. It's room temperature and tastes like plastic and chemicals. Probably municipal water from questionable pipes. Doesn't matter. Staying hydrated is important. Dehydration makes you stupid. Stupid makes you sloppy. Sloppy gets you killed or blown. Time passes. No watch. They took my watch when we arrived. Standard procedure. Remove time reference. Increase disorientation. Make the subject lose track of how long they've been detained. I estimate based on physical cues. My bladder tells me it's been at least 2 hours since the car picked me up. Maybe longer. A light fixture tells me nothing. Fluorescent bulbs run constant. No shadows to judge sun position. No sounds from outside to indicate time of day. I think about my check-in protocol. I was supposed to call the number at noon. Haven't called. The case officer knows something's wrong by now. He'll wait 4 hours before taking action. Standard procedure. Give the operative time to resolve minor complications before assuming compromise. By 4 in the afternoon, if I'm estimating time correctly, he'll flag it to station chief. Station chief will start making inquiries, check with the hotel, check with the ministry contacts. Eventually, they'll learn that James Palmer was picked up by Securitate. Then what? Not much they can do. Can't exactly raid a secret police facility. Can't acknowledge Palmer as agency because that confirms what the Romanians suspect. I'm on my own. That's the reality of covert work. When things go sideways in denied territory, you handle it yourself or you don't handle it at all. The door opens again. Same man as before. Brings another bottle of water and a plate with 2 pieces of dry bread and some kind of hard cheese. No utensils, just finger food. He sets it down and leaves without speaking. I eat the bread and cheese slowly, savoring each bite. Not because it tastes good, it doesn't, but because eating is something to do. Activity helps maintain psychological stability. The mind needs tasks. Give it nothing and it starts feeding on itself. More time passes. Could be 1 hour, could be 3, no way to know. I need to piss. There's the drain in the corner. That's what it's for. I use it. No privacy, no dignity. They'll watch on camera if there is one. Doesn't matter. Bodies' needs don't care about dignity. I sit back down, hands on the table, waiting. The isolation is working on me despite my training. I can feel it, the slight edge of anxiety trying to creep in, the wondering, the what-ifs. I push it down, breathe steady, review the Palmer cover story again. Every detail, every date, every name, every piece of documentation that supports the legend. James Palmer is a telecommunications consultant. He sells equipment. He has meetings. He has references. He has a hotel room full of legitimate materials. He has nothing to hide because there's nothing to find. That's the lie I'm living. That's the truth I have to project. The door opens. The original interrogator returns. Fresh pack of cigarettes. Same dead eyes. He sits down across from me. Mr. Palmer, I hope you are comfortable. Sarcasm? Hard to tell with these assholes. I'd be more comfortable back at my hotel preparing for my appointments. Your appointments have been canceled. We contacted the ministry and explained you are assisting us with inquiries. They understand. That's bad. That means the official channel knows Palmer is detained. That means word will spread through the bureaucracy. That means the cover story has to hold up under extended scrutiny from multiple agencies who will now be reviewing everything about James Palmer. May I ask what inquiries? I've been sitting here for hours. 3 hours and 45 minutes. He lights a cigarette, smokes it slowly this time, making me wait, making me think about the precision of his answer, reminding me they control time here. 3 hours and 45 minutes, I repeat, and I still don't know what I'm supposed to have done wrong. Tell me about your time in Vietnam again. I already told you. 1 tour, communications sergeant, advisory role. Which unit specifically? 5th Special Forces Group, Advisory Team 73. I was attached for Advisory Team. 73 was disbanded in 69. Shit, mistake. Small mistake, but a mistake in the Palmer legend. I recover immediately. Sorry. My memory of unit designations isn't perfect. It was 11 years ago. I'd have to check my discharge papers for the exact designation. It was an advisory team in 3rd Corps area. Small unit. We rotated between several fire bases. What were the names of your team members? I don't remember all the names. It's been a long time. Our team leader was Captain Morrison. Our medic was Sergeant Davis. There was a demolitions guy we called Tex, never knew his real name. A couple of indigenous liaisons whose Vietnamese names I couldn't pronounce properly. Mix of truth and fiction. Morrison was real. Davis was real. The rest is carefully constructed blur that can't be verified but sounds credible for Palmer's background. Memory is imperfect. Details fade. That's normal for someone recalling events from a decade ago. What specific locations did you operate from? Cu Chi District primarily, sometimes Long Binh. We did mobile advisory work with ARVN units, Army of the Republic of Vietnam, helping them with communications and coordination. All verifiable at general level, all vague enough to survive scrutiny. The specific operational details aren't in this conversation. The missions the real me actually ran aren't in this conversation. The body count sure as hell isn't in this conversation. James Palmer was support personnel. That's the story. The interrogator smokes his cigarette, watching me, calculating, you are lying, flat statement, direct accusation. I'm telling you what I remember from 11 years ago. If there are errors in unit designations or minor details, that's because memory isn't perfect. Everything I've told you can be confirmed through my military records. Your military records are classified. The basic information isn't dates of service, duty stations, rank. That's all public. The details are classified. Why would a communications sergeant's details be classified? Because the real me wasn't just a communications sergeant. Because I did things that remained classified decades later. Because the operations I was part of don't exist in official records and never will. But James Palmer doesn't know any of that. Palmer was just support personnel. I don't know. You'd have to ask the Army. I assume anything related to Special Forces operations has security classifications. That was standard even for support personnel. You admit you conducted Special Forces operations. I said I supported Special Forces operations. I was communications and logistics. I wasn't running missions. But you know what those missions involved. Generally, I didn't have operational command. I provided technical support. We're going in circles. He's fishing, throwing out statements and watching for reactions, looking for inconsistencies, looking for holes in the Palmer cover. I give him nothing. Steady voice, steady eye contact, the absolute confidence of someone telling the truth because from his perspective, James Palmer is telling the truth. Palmer was support personnel. Palmer had a technical role, nothing glamorous, nothing operational, just a soldier doing his job. He finishes his cigarette, lights another immediately. The pack's almost gone. We're hours into this now, maybe 5 hours total, maybe 6. My sense of time is degrading. Let's talk about your current employment. Continental Telecommunication Systems. How did you get this job? I applied. They were looking for someone with military communications experience and European language capability. I fit the profile. I interviewed. They hired me. Who interviewed you? Regional manager named Harrison, technical director named Chen, HR representative whose name I don't remember. All real people, all documented, all instructed to verify Palmer's employment if contacted. The cover is solid because Continental is a real company and James Palmer is a real employee on paper. The fact that the CIA runs Continental through 3 layers of shell corporations and cutouts isn't something that shows up in routine verification. Have you ever had any contact with intelligence services? Direct question, critical moment. No, unless you count talking to you right now. Slight deflection, hint of humor. The response of someone who's getting tired of accusations and is starting to push back a little. Natural behavior for an innocent person reaching the limit of patience. Mr. Palmer, let me be very direct. We believe you are conducting intelligence collection activities in Romania under commercial cover. We believe Continental Telecommunications is a CIA front company. We believe your meetings with ministry officials were attempts to recruit sources or gather classified information about our communications infrastructure. Do you deny this? Yes, I absolutely deny it. This is ridiculous. I am a salesman. I sell equipment. I have product catalogs in my briefcase. I have legitimate business credentials. I have references you can contact. I don't know what else I can tell you to convince you I'm exactly what I claim to be. The interrogator stares at me. Long silence, smoking his cigarette down to the filter, thinking, making a decision. We shall see. he finally says. We are conducting comprehensive background investigation. We are contacting your references. We are verifying every detail of your story. This will take time. You will remain here until we are satisfied. How long? As long as necessary. He stands up, walks to the door, stops and turns back. One more question. If you are not intelligence, why do you have counter-surveillance training? My blood goes cold. How do they know that? What did I do that revealed counter-surveillance awareness? What did James Palmer do that broke the cover? I don't know what you mean. You noticed our surveillance team following you on Monday. You changed your route. You stopped to check reflections in windows. You entered buildings and exited through different doors. This is not the behavior of a telecommunications consultant. This is the behavior of someone trained to detect surveillance. God damn, I got sloppy. Habit from decades of operational work. You always run surveillance detection routes. You always check for tails. You always assume you're being watched. It's so ingrained I did it automatically without thinking about the Palmer cover role. I need to recover. Fast. I spent time in communist countries during the Cold War as a soldier. I was told by military intelligence that Warsaw Pact services sometimes conduct surveillance on American personnel even after they leave military service. I was trying to be careful, maybe overly careful. I didn't know being cautious was evidence of being a spy. Decent recovery, not great, but decent, explains the behavior while maintaining Palmer's innocence, attributes it to reasonable paranoia rather than training. The interrogator nods slowly, not convinced but not ready to push further right now. We will continue this conversation tomorrow. He leaves. The door locks. I sit in the room alone. Tomorrow. That means Palmer is spending the night here. That means they're committed to a full investigation. That means my check-in is now 9 hours overdue and the station chief definitely knows something's wrong. The question is what he can do about it. The answer is probably nothing. I'm on my own until I either convince these bastards that James Palmer is clean or until they decide Palmer isn't worth the diplomatic incident of holding an American businessman indefinitely. I've got to maintain the cover. That's the only play. Stick to the Palmer legend. Don't deviate, don't elaborate, don't volunteer anything that isn't part of the backstory. Weather the interrogation and hope the documentation holds up under scrutiny. It's going to be a long goddamn night. They don't bring dinner, don't bring more water, don't come back at all. The light stays on. Fluorescent hum continuous. No darkness, no rest. Sleep deprivation technique. Keep the subject awake. Break down cognitive function. Make them sloppy. I sit in a chair and fight it. Can't lie down, there's no bed and the floor's concrete. Can stand and pace, but that burns energy. Need to conserve. Need to stay sharp. I do what I can. Stand every hour, estimated hour, and do basic stretches. Keep blood flowing. Keep muscles from stiffening up. Physical conditioning pays off here. Years of staying in shape means I can sit in this chair for days without breaking. The fundamentals hold. Never quit. Never quit. Never quit. Time becomes abstract. Could be midnight. Could be 3 a.m. Could be 5. No way to tell. The body wants sleep. The mind wants rest. Can't have either. Push through. That's the job. Around what I estimate is dawn, purely a guess based on internal clock, the door opens. Different interrogator, older man, maybe 60, gray hair, weathered face, expensive suit that actually fits. Senior officer. This is an escalation. He sits down across from me, doesn't introduce himself, pulls out a leather folder, opens it, reviews documents while I watch. Mr. Palmer, I am Colonel Dumitrescu. I oversee counterintelligence operations for this district. I have reviewed the transcript of your interrogation yesterday, and I have reviewed the initial findings of our background investigation. Perfect English, British accent, educated abroad. This is someone with access to high-level intelligence and the authority to make decisions about James Palmer's fate. Good, then you know I'm exactly who I claim to be. Can I go back to my hotel now? Not yet. There are some complications. Of course there are. What complications? Your company, Continental Telecommunications Systems. We contacted their headquarters in New York. They confirm your employment. They confirm your business purpose in Romania. They confirm all details of your cover story. He emphasizes the words cover story, deliberate, letting me know he's not convinced that James Palmer is legitimate. My business credentials, not my cover story, my legitimate business credentials. Perhaps, however, we have discovered some interesting connections. Continental has contract relationships with several entities that have known associations with American intelligence services. They have worked on projects in countries where CIA operations are known to have occurred. Their hiring patterns show preference for former military personnel with specialized skills. These are indicators of a front company. Shit. They've done deep research. They're looking at corporate networks and patterns. They're building a circumstantial case that Continental is agency connected, which it is, but circumstantial doesn't prove James Palmer is operational. It suggests possibility, not certainty. Colonel, I can't speak to every business relationship my company has. I'm a consultant. I sell equipment. I don't make corporate decisions about who we contract with or why we hire military veterans, which is common practice in the telecommunications industry because we need people with technical expertise. You're building a conspiracy theory out of normal business patterns. He smiles. Not friendly, predatory. The smile of someone who knows more than he's revealing. Perhaps. Let me ask you about something else. Your military service in Vietnam. We obtained additional information about your unit assignments. You were attached to Command and Control North, CCN, part of MACV SOG. This was a highly classified special operations unit conducting cross-border missions into Laos and Cambodia. This was not communications and logistics. This was direct action operations. My heart rate spikes. They've got operational intelligence. Someone talked. Someone provided classified information about SOG operations. That information isn't available through normal channels. That means either a penetration in U.S. intelligence or collaboration with Soviet intelligence services who had access to Vietnamese archives. But James Palmer wasn't in SOG. Palmer's legend is clean. Palmer was support personnel. That's the story. That's what holds. I keep my face neutral. Don't confirm. Don't deny. Admit nothing. I don't know where you got that information, but it's inaccurate. I was support personnel. I wasn't part of any special operations unit beyond standard SF advisory work. We have documentary evidence, reports from North Vietnamese archives that mention American soldiers captured during cross-border operations. Some of these reports describe interrogations of special operations personnel. The name Palmer appears in some of these documents. Lie. Has to be a lie. James Palmer was never captured. The legend is clean. They're bluffing, showing fake documentation to force a confession. Standard technique. Create false evidence and watch the subject try to explain it. Then your documents are wrong. I was never captured. I was never part of cross-border operations. I fulfilled my assignment and came home. Whatever documents you're referring to are either fabricated or refer to a different soldier with a similar name. Palmer is a common name. Show me your hands. What? Show me your hands. Place them flat on the table. I place my hands on the table, palms down. He pulls out a photograph from his folder. Black and white, grainy. Shows hands, someone else's hands scarred and marked, fingertips damaged, evidence of torture or hard field work. These are the hands of a soldier who spent years in the jungle, fighting, surviving, conducting operations that leave physical marks. Your hands should show similar signs if you did what we believe you did. He's looking at my hands. I'm looking at my hands. They're weathered, scarred, calloused. The hands of someone who's done hard work. But are they the hands in the photo? No. That photo is someone else, someone who got captured and tortured, not James Palmer. My hands just show age and work. Could be consistent with telecommunications installation work. Could be consistent with military service. Could be consistent with a lot of things. Not proof of anything specific for Palmer's background. My hands show I work for a living. That's all. He studies them, doesn't look convinced, but doesn't push it. Let me ask you directly, Mr. Palmer. Are you CIA? No. Have you ever worked for CIA? No. Have you ever been contracted by CIA for any purpose? No. Have you ever conducted intelligence collection activities for any American government agency? No. Would you be willing to take a polygraph examination? That's a trap. Polygraph exams are pseudoscience bullshit that measure anxiety, not truth. They can be beaten with training, but agreeing to take one makes me look guilty if I refuse later. Refusing one now makes me look guilty immediately. If it helps establish my innocence, yes, but I'd need to consult with my embassy and have legal representation present. That's standard procedure for any foreign national subjected to interrogation in a host country. Reasonable answer? Doesn't refuse? Doesn't immediately agree? Asserts rights while appearing cooperative? Palmer is protecting himself without looking like he has something to hide? The colonel closes his folder, leans back in his chair, studies me with those calculating eyes. Mr. Palmer, I am going to be honest with you. We cannot prove you are CIA. Your documentation is excellent. Your cover story is consistent. Your behavior under interrogation shows training, but that could be military experience rather than intelligence tradecraft. We have suspicions, but not evidence. This is either good news or a setup for something worse. However, your presence in Romania is now problematic. Even if you are not intelligence, which I do not believe your background and associations make you unsuitable for conducting business here, we are going to revoke your business visa and declare you persona non grata. You will leave Romania within 24 hours. If you return, you will be arrested immediately. Do you understand? Expulsion, not imprisonment, not worse. They're kicking James Palmer out because they can't prove what they suspect, and holding an American businessman indefinitely creates diplomatic problems they don't want. I understand. Can I return to my hotel to collect my belongings? You will be escorted to your hotel. You will pack under supervision. You will be escorted to the airport. You will board a flight to Vienna or Budapest, whichever is available first. You will not return, ever. What about my business appointments? My company has contracts pending. Those contracts are canceled. Your company is no longer welcome to do business in Romania. They will be notified through official channels. That burns the entire operation. Not just Palmer's cover, but Continental's access to Romanian markets. Months of relationship building destroyed. Other operatives who might have used similar covers now compromised. The fallout from this will spread beyond just Palmer. But I'm alive. Palmer isn't in prison. Not in a basement somewhere being worked over with fists and tools, being kicked out. That's a win under the circumstances. When do we leave? Now. He stands, opens a door. 2 guards enter. Same gray suits, same dead eyes. These men will escort you to your hotel. You have 1 hour to pack. Then to the airport. If you deviate from this schedule or attempt to contact anyone, you will be arrested and prosecuted for espionage. Clear? Clear. Good. Goodbye, Mr. Palmer. Do not come back. He leaves. The guards gesture for me to stand. I stand. My legs are stiff from sitting all night. I'm exhausted. I'm dehydrated. I'm relieved. They walk me out of the building into morning light. Gray dawn. Cold air. James Palmer has been in that room approximately 18 hours. Feels like days. A car waits. Same black Dacia. I get in the back seat. Same position as yesterday. Guards on either side. Driver up front. We pull out of the complex and head back toward the city center. Nobody speaks. I watch the streets go by. Bucharest waking up. People heading to work. Red lines forming. the normal rhythm of life in a police state where most people never see the inside of an interrogation facility. I got lucky. Palmer got lucky. They couldn't prove what they suspected. The cover held just barely. The legend survived scrutiny. The training paid off. The discipline paid off. Never quit paid off. But it was close. Damn close. One more piece of evidence. One more connection. One more slip in the interrogation. Any of those, and Palmer would still be in that room facing a lot worse than expulsion. We arrive at the hotel. The guards escort me to Palmer's room. I pack under their watch. They check every item, looking for anything incriminating. They won't find it because there's nothing to find. Everything in this room is consistent with Palmer's cover. Equipment catalogs, technical specifications, sample materials, business correspondence, hotel bills. Nothing operational, nothing classified, nothing that proves anything except that James Palmer is exactly who he claimed to be. Packing takes 20 minutes. They rush me. No time for careful organization. Just throw everything in the suitcase and go. Fine by me. I want out of this country as fast as they'll let Palmer leave. Back in the car, drive to the airport. They take me past the normal terminal entrance to a side gate, pull onto the tarmac directly. A plane's waiting. Austrian Airlines flight to Vienna. Boarding already in progress. They walk me to the stairs, hand Palmer's passport to a Romanian customs official who stamps it with a red mark and hands it back. Persona non grata. Marked in the passport, James Palmer will never get a visa for this country again. Board the plane, Mr. Palmer. I climb the stairs. Don't look back. Enter the aircraft. The flight attendant shows me to a seat. I sit down. Buckle in. Close my eyes. The plane pushes back from the gate. Taxis to the runway. Takes off. Wheels leave Romanian soil, and Palmer is out. Free. Alive. Unbroken. I don't relax. Not yet. Not until we're in Austrian airspace. Not until there's no way they can turn the plane around. Not until I'm certain Palmer is actually free. The pilot announces we're beginning our descent into Vienna. I open my eyes. Look out the window at the Alps in the distance. Beautiful. Cold. Safe. I maintain the Palmer cover. I pass the interrogation. Palmer is burned in Romania, but I'm out. That's success under the circumstances. Not the mission outcome we wanted, but not the worst possible result either. The plane lands. I go through Austrian customs with no issues. Palmer's passport raises no flags here. The Romanian stamp won't be visible to casual inspection, and Austria doesn't care what Romania thinks. I find a payphone, call the number, use the proper codes, report my status. The case officer's voice is tense but controlled. Welcome back. Debrief tomorrow. Go to the safe house. Address in the usual place. Get some rest. Copy. I hang up. Find the dead drop location in the airport. Retrieve the envelope with the safe house address. Take a taxi there. It's a small apartment in the 3rd district. Clean, anonymous, safe. I go inside, lock the door, check the windows, check the rooms. Alone. Actually alone. No surveillance, no guards, no interrogators chain-smoking cigarettes and asking questions designed to trap James Palmer. I sit on the couch. First time I've been truly alone and safe in more than 24 hours. The exhaustion hits me all at once. The adrenaline drains out. My hands start shaking. Post-stress reaction. Normal. Let it happen. Don't fight it. I pass the test. I maintained the Palmer cover under interrogation. I didn't break. I didn't confess. I didn't give them anything operational. I survived. That's the job sometimes. Not success, just survival. Get in, get out, live to operate another day. I close my eyes and finally let myself rest. You want to know what I learned from 18 hours in a Romanian interrogation facility? It's simple. 3 things. 3 principles that matter when everything else falls away. First, Your cover is only as good as your commitment to it. You can't half believe your legend. You can't waver. You have to internalize it so completely that under pressure, under exhaustion, under psychological assault, you still respond from that identity. I was James Palmer, period. Not someone pretending to be Palmer. Not someone who used to be someone else. Just Palmer. That single-minded commitment to the role kept me alive. Second, never quit applies everywhere. Not just physical endurance, not just combat, mental endurance under interrogation. When they're asking the same question 16 different ways, when they're showing you false evidence, when they're implying they know things they don't know, when you're exhausted and you just want it to be over. Never quit. Never break. Never give them what they want. The interrogator smoked through 2 packs of cigarettes trying to crack me. I outlasted him. That's what never quit means. You simply refuse to break. Third, the volunteer for everything principle put me in that room. And I'd do it again. When the agency asked for someone to run telecommunications cover in Eastern Europe, I volunteered. Knew it was dangerous, knew the risk, went anyway. Because that's what warriors do. We volunteer for the dangerous assignments. We go where we're needed. We accept the consequences. Palmer got burned in Romania. That hurts the operation. But I got out. I survived. And I'll volunteer for the next assignment because the alternative is sitting on the sidelines. Can't do that. Won't do that. Never have. Those 3 principles got me through. Everything else, the tactics, the training, the operational security matters, but fundamentally it comes down to commitment, endurance, and the willingness to be in the shit when the shit happens. Here's what they don't tell you about covert work. Nobody does. You know why? Because it sounds unglamorous as hell. The reality is, most intelligence work is sitting in rooms with bureaucrats, drinking bad coffee, making small talk, building relationships slowly, gathering information one boring conversation at a time. Not exciting, not dramatic, just patient, methodical work that accumulates over months and years. And when it goes wrong, which it sometimes does, you sit in a different room with different bureaucrats who want different things, and you have the same boring conversations, except now the stakes include your freedom or your life. No shootouts, no car chases, no dramatic escapes, just words, just persistence, just the discipline to maintain your cover story under pressure until they either believe you or decide you're not worth the trouble. That interrogation in Bucharest, that's what real operational pressure looks like. Sitting in a chair, answering questions, controlling your reactions, managing your physiological responses, maintaining consistency across hours of conversation with someone trained to find inconsistencies. Not glamorous, not exciting, just hard, mentally exhausting in ways that are difficult to explain to people who haven't done it. The interrogator had every advantage. He controlled the environment, he controlled time, he controlled information, he had multiple days if he wanted them. He had the authority to escalate to physical methods if psychological pressure didn't work. He had access to background files, he had documents, he had resources. I had the Palmer cover story and my training. That's it. That's all anyone ever has in that situation. And it was enough. Barely, but enough. The key was never giving them certainty. They suspected, they believed, they thought they knew, but suspicion isn't proof. Belief isn't evidence. They couldn't prove James Palmer was operational. The documentation held up. The behavior under interrogation was consistent with someone telling the truth. They couldn't justify holding an American businessman indefinitely based on suspicion alone, so they kicked Palmer out, burned the cover, destroyed the operation. But let me walk away. That's victory in covert work sometimes. Not mission success, just survival with your identity intact and your mouth shut. You take the wins you can get, you learn from the mistakes, you apply those lessons to the next operation, you keep going. That's the job. Let me be very clear about something. That interrogation was a failure. Failed operation, failed cover, months of work destroyed, other operatives compromised by association. The Romanian service now knows to watch for telecommunications consultants with military backgrounds. That knowledge spreads throughout the Warsaw Pact intelligence community. We lose operational capability across multiple countries. That's the cost. That's what happens when something goes wrong. But I walked out. I maintained operational security. I didn't give them anything that would compromise other operations or other operatives. I protected sources and methods. I survived. That matters. That's worth something. Not worth what we lost, but worth something. The lesson isn't about success. The lesson's about endurance under conditions where success isn't possible. When all you can do is minimize damage and extract yourself intact. When the only play is to weather the storm and hope you come out the other side still standing. I weathered it. I came out standing. 36 hours after they picked up James Palmer, I was in Vienna drinking real coffee and debriefing with my case officer about what went wrong and what we learned. Still operational, still in the game, still ready to volunteer for the next assignment even though this one went to shit, because that's what warriors do. We take the hits, we absorb the damage, we learn the lessons, we get back up, we go again. Never quit.